Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Sunday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens flock down south to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval County. This one kicks off promptly at 8:20 p.m. Right now, the over/under is at around 40.5 points. We get Lamar Jackson versus Trevor Lawrence, and it is going to be a dandy. Before I get into the point spread, some over/under stuff, and a final score prediction, make sure you get to the website at fantasy6pack.net. When you get there, tell them Beastie sent you, and while you're there, you can use promo code FFPlayoffs. You'll get 25% off any premium package you want. And with the fantasy football seasonal playoffs in full swing, started right now in week 15, what better time to be a part of the website than right now when you can get in on some game-changing rankings, some world-renowned top 5, top 10 rankings from all the staff here at Fantasy Six Pack. Or if you're done, you're a lame duck, you're dead in the water, you just want some DFS and some sports betting action, me, Dave, Keith, and Alan can help you cruise through that as well. And in a premium package, you get all access to the Discord, which is where we are at all times, helping folks, giving out cash pools, GPP prizes. You get bottom of the barrel, everything here at Fantasy Six Pack for only $9.99 a month. And use that promo code FFPlayoffs. Now, let's talk about this football game. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because it's going to be that way, right? I said it was a doozy, and the final score is going to shock you, and it's going to be a great game. Over by a lot, I'll say that. But let's start with some of the nuances here, some of the things that nobody really talks about a lot, right? When you look at this one, the Baltimore Ravens are 10-3. They are in first right now. They lead the AFC North, and they're battling with Miami for that first overall seed in the AFC. Jacksonville, however, they're 8-5. They're in first place in their division as well, but they only lead by, I believe, on my notes, by one game against the Colts in the AFC South. So you get two divisional leaders going head-to-head in Week 15. When we look at this one, let's start with Lamar Jackson, and this guy has been unbelievable. He's on pace to set career highs in completions, in passing yards. He's been outstanding as of late, just not even a Houdini act. He is a true stone cold stud at the quarterback position. He's got currently 252 completions, which is 13 shy, I believe, of his all-time high, which of 265, which was set in what was that, 2019? Could have been his MVP season, something like that. But when we look at what he's got going on, this week at least in Jacksonville, they're 29th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Lamar is going to have a field day. 17 grand on FanDuel, 12-4 on DK, 20 to 21 completions, 250 passing yards, a touchdown through the air, and another touchdown on the ground. And I have Lamar 9 to 10 carries for another 50 yards. So you're looking at around 310 all-purpose yards. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get to, 310, 320. I mean, it just goes on and on and on with this guy. He keeps getting better and better as the years and as the season go on. I'm so glad that Baltimore finally paid the guy. When you look at Trevor Lawrence, the golden boy, the golden goose, however you want to say it, I was shocked he played in Week 14 after what we saw on the last primetime slate in Week 13 when the guy stepped on his ankle and it was sideways, but this kid is a gamer. And when you look at him this week, the Baltimore Ravens are first overall against opposing quarterbacks, and given Trevor Lawrence has always been mobile. That's been kind of a calling card. His arm is gotten him to where he is, along with his smarts, his height, and his vision on the field. But he's also able to scoot and move the chains if he has to. Is that little bit of mobility taken out of him here this week because of that? That ankle's got to still be sore after being stepped on, and now you get a Baltimore Ravens defensive line, which is first overall at getting to quarterbacks. But hey, Trevor Lawrence, 14-5 on FanDuel, 10-4 on DK. Sometimes the talent transcends, and all of this stuff, it just grows and grows and grows, and Trevor Lawrence just revels in it. And when I look at him, 25 to 26 completions, around 260 yards, a pair of touchdown passes, and around 3 to 4 carries for around 20 yards. If he's going to take off and run, then he's probably, it's like, in extreme circumstances, was, right? The ankle was stepped on. His knee had the brace after getting, sat on or flipped around earlier in the season. So to me, Trevor Lawrence is, it's going to be, let's see what we get, right? Of the two quarterbacks, obviously it's Lamar Jackson. When we look at the running backs here, 5 minutes into the video already, I wanted to keep this thing around 8 minutes, and I just talk and talk and talk, but hey, it is what it is. When you look at the running backs here for the Baltimore Ravens, it's the rookie Keaton Mitchell, and it's Gus the Bus. Keaton Mitchell, 10 to 11 carries, 45 to 50 yards, a reception or two for around 10 yards, and Gus, 9 to 10 carries for around 40 yards, 1 to 2 receptions, no more than 5 to 10 yards. When you look at their pricing here, Keaton Mitchell, 11.5 on FanDuel, Gus, 10 grand on FanDuel, and Keaton is 5.8 on DK, and Gus is 7.4 on DK. I would prefer the rookie Keaton Mitchell, the younger, the fresher the legs. Granted, Gus inside the red zone could be or already is their goal line back, but we've seen what Keaton Mitchell can do in the open space, and given the levity of this game and the importance of this game for both teams, they're going to leave it all on the field. Not to say that teams don't do that anyways, but prime time, two divisional leaders looking to make the playoffs and go on a run here, I would use Keaton Mitchell, especially in the passing down work here, so you get those PPR points. On the Jacksonville side of things, I mean, Travis Etienne is a stone cold stud. I need to pull out my thesaurus and look for other words here. Travis Etienne, Baltimore Ravens defense against running backs is 8th overall. Travis, 15.5 on FanDuel, 10.2 on DK, looking at 13 to 14 carries, around 60 yards. He will find the end zone. Which way? Is it going to be on the ground? Is it going to be in the air? More than likely, I think Travis Etienne finds the end zone on the ground, because I also have him 4 to 5 receptions for another 30 yards. So we're getting dangerously close to 100 all-purpose yards for Travis Etienne. And the guy who will, get in to give Travis a breather every once in a while, D'Ernest Johnson. Don't look past this guy either. He's been counted out, down and out many times, and he just works his ass off and does what's asked of him. D'Ernest Johnson, 4 to 5 carries, 20 yards, a reception or two for another 10 yards. When we look at the wide receivers here, there is a plan of attack for me personally, and it doesn't necessarily mean that's what the coaches and the staff is going to do on the field. When we look at the Baltimore Ravens wide receivers, that's where to go, because Jacksonville right now 26th overall against defending opposing wide receivers. You get the rookie in Zay Jones, who's been outstanding. You get Odell Beckham Jr., Rashad Bateman, who's kind of been like a dead duck or a limp wrist. I don't know. Rashad Bateman just hasn't taken that step that he thought he would have when he was drafted as a rookie. He was supposed to be phenomenal, and he's just not catching on. And then you got Nelson Aguilar, 2 to 3 targets, 2 to 3 receptions, 25 yards in this one. But if we rewind back to Zay Flowers here, 7 to 8 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 65 to 70 yards, and maybe a trick play or two, no more than 5 to 10 yards. But Zay's going to cost you some dough. He's 13 grand on FanDuel, 8.8 on DK. Odell Beckham Jr., however, he's been around, right, and he's kind of settled down, right? Fatherhood, it looks well on Odell Beckham. I'm not a fan and a professional, and look at him now. 9.5 on FanDuel, 7.2 on DK, 5 to 6 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 55 to 60 yards. I could see one of the two catching a touchdown. Granted, the final score 28 to 21. There's plenty of points to go around here, but you got to pick and choose here. When we look at Aguilar, I would, if you wanted to in a pinch, you could use Nelson Aguilar as well, because Lamar Jackson is working at such a good rhythm right now, and he's playing phenomenal, which I've said a million times here. He can support all these wide receivers, and Isaiah Likely, the tight end, which I'll get to here momentarily. So nobody's off the table when it comes to the wide receivers for the Ravens. But in order of importance, it would be Zay, OBJ, Nelson Aguilar, and then Bateman somewhere there at the bottom there. When we look at the Jacksonville wide receivers, unfortunately, Christian Kirk is out. He's been out after that nasty, that leg, that groin thing. That was a primetime thing. He had the first catch of the game. He fell backwards. He's been out. Now it's Calvin Ridley's show, but this Zay Jones is also in the action, and he's had to step up in advance or in Christian Kirk's way. When you look at Calvin Ridley, 12-5 on FanDuel, 8-6 on DK, 8 to 9 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 65 to 70 yards, going to be highly targeted, going to catch, a handful of passes along those lines, and he's 12-5 on FanDuel, 8-6 on DK. When you look at Zay Jones, $8,000 on FanDuel, 5-6 on DK, 7 to 8 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 55 to 60 yards. So Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones. Obviously, I would prefer Calvin Ridley, but I also like Parker Washington in a sneak spot. Maybe we can put Parker in an MVP spot in hopes that the field is just all covered, right? They're just all covered all the time, and T-Law looks Parker Washington's way. I have it about 4 to 5 times, and Parker catches 4 to 5 passes for around 45 to 50 yards. When we get to the tight ends, there's only 2 names I want to talk about, and that's Isaiah Likely and that's Evan Ingram. When you look at Likely, the Jacksonville Jags 25th overall against opposing tight ends, and Likely's going to have himself a game. 6 to 7 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 45 to 50 yards, and a touchdown. I had a ton of questions, personal, and in my DMs and texts and phone call from friends, and it was like, do I start player A or Isaiah Likely? And more times than not, I told folks it was Isaiah Likely just because of the matchup is just beautiful and it's golden. And oh, did I tell you, Lamar Jackson is playing pretty damn good this season. But Evan Ingram, to his credit, is doing pretty damn good as well. But the only thing, Baltimore is 4th overall against defending opposing tight ends. So Ingram, $11,000 on FanDuel, 7-6 on DK, 8 to 9 targets. I have Evan Ingram targeted more than Ridley, than Zay, than Parker for notable reasons, right? When you look at Evan Ingram, 8 to 9 targets, 7 to 8 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown reception. So Likely and Ingram, those two were in that phrase again, or that moment in time where I love both tight ends, MVP captain and vice versa flex, and we run it back from there. When you look at the kickers, Tucker, McManus, both guys, Tucker's been a stud his whole career. Brandon McManus has reinvigorated himself in his career so far with Jacksonville. Both guys are in play. Both guys are on the table. I like Tucker for an extra field goal. That's the only difference there. When we look at the DSTs here, the Ravens or the Jags, both of them are in play, right? And the reason I say the Ravens are in play is because last week, Trevor Lawrence, he threw 3 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. So the Jacksonville offensive line had some troubles protecting their quarterback. And I'd imagine that they've gotten it right. They sat down, and that was a point of contention. That's all they talked about in meetings going into this week. But the Ravens are still just unbelievably, they get after you, and they will just keep coming and churning it out. So the Ravens, 3 to 4 sacks, an interception, maybe a fumble recovery. So of the two, I would prefer the Ravens DST, and they're $9,000 on FanDuel, 4-4 on DK. Here's some recent betting trends, and we'll get the heck out of here. As it stands now, Jacksonville, they've lost back-to-back games, and they've given up 65 combined points in those 2 losses here. Not good for this week. Baltimore, 3 straight wins. They've won 7 of their last 8 games, and let's just tell it what it is. Jacksonville needs this game big time. Although they do lead the North, the Colts are nipping at their heels here. Baltimore 6-4 against the spread their last 10. The overs 5-5 their last 10, and the Jacksonville Jaguars 7-3 against the spread their last 10, and they're split right down the middle their last 10 games in terms of it being over. So all said and done, what's going to happen? Give me the Baltimore Ravens to win this one, 28-21. Lamar looks fantastic. The Jags go home with their tail tucked between their legs, and they're going to have to find another route into the playoffs, because a win I just don't see a win in the cards for Jacksonville here tonight on Sunday. So before I split, be good, be safe, enjoy the holiday season. Give me the Baltimore Ravens to win 28-21, and I'll see you soon. Monday Night Football. Bye-bye.